Every day you're on duty, you're pointing guns at bad people, trying to stop them doing really bad stuff. That spontaneous world, for me, that's what I absolutely crave, that ability to just turn up and you do not know what you're going to face. The radio comes to life and you hear that, any Trojan unit, and that's you. Those few minutes in the car, you're planning. You turn up and it might be multiple stabbings, it might be shots fired at car, and you've got to be able to go, boom, right, this is the plan, on me. And so that door goes in. If there's someone on the other side of that door, and sometimes there was, you're the first person they see. This team are behind you, and your one job is to protect them all. I love that responsibility.
Have you ever been shot at?
I've had guns pulled on me, yes.
Were you around on the London Bridge?
Yeah, I was at London Bridge. You turn up at work and put a police uniform on. You've accepted that anything can come your way.
That instant half a second, whether you're going to pull that trigger or not, what is that consequences for you if you do pull the trigger? Lawn Castle being sacked. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, the public, you don't get it. They're putting their neck on the line. People blame the police, but ultimately, the police are affected by governments. But, you know, government have done a great job in just breaking the police, haven't they? The only people who have guns are bad people and us. And this is what people don't get. I've acted to save my life, completely justified in law.
Have you ever shot anyone?
I have.
Tell me about that. Kev, welcome to the show, mate.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. We've been chatting for a while now.
We have.
Let's roll all the way back. What's it like roaming the streets of London with a machine gun?
Right. Well, how can I put it? SO19 was, for me, starting in 2003. We went out in the cars, and for me, it was the best career move I ever made. I said 18 years, I couldn't leave. I just absolutely loved getting up in the morning. And it is unique. There's no other job like it. You come to work, you put your uniform on, and then you load your guns. You load your Glock, your MP5 as it was in 2003. And you get on a car with two of your mates, and you drive around for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, and you're just laughing all day. It's just three blokes in a car, or girls. You know, the department's evolved. It used to just be mostly men, but there are a lot of girls now. Yeah. And you just drive around London, and all you're waiting for are the magic words of any Trojan unit. The radio comes to life and you hear that, any Trojan unit, and that's you. That's you. All your training, everything you're there for. And it can be anywhere in London. So when I joined in 2003, there was only 5 cars. You imagine that, 9,000 people, 5 cars, the whole of the city. So you went out and you never came back to the base. You were going from call to call to call. So you might end up in Harrow, Tottenham, then down to Lewisham, south of the river, which is, 2 bases, one north, one south. And you're always calling on each other because there's only 3 cars. And firearms ops are pretty labour intensive, So if it's a vehicle option in those days, you needed 2 cars. If it was a convoy of bad, of suspects in vehicles, you might need 3 or 4 cars. Well, that's all. That's the bag empty then. For the whole of London, there might be 1 car left, and you're going everywhere. So realistically, in 2003, when I joined, you were probably pointing guns every day.
Wow.
Every day you're on duty, you're pointing guns at bad people, trying to stop them doing really bad stuff. And it was, for me, the best job in the world.
Yeah, I bet. How long do you end up doing that for?
18 years.
Full on 18? Full
on.
Okay.
I only came off the cars once when I dislocated my kneecap and they put me in office and I was such a disaster.
Getting back on the streets.
I was amazed I didn't get sacked. I was so incompetent, but they got me back in the streets as quick as possible. But the whole of it was on the cars, never took promotion, never wanted to step away from it. I just became addicted to it. And the culture, you're working with people who are so professional, just want to come, they want to be there. They want to be. They're not griping, they're not hating the job. They train, they're physically fit, they're highly motivated. And that enthusiasm just rubs off on you. I'd get up in the morning, especially near the end when I was like, my body was breaking down a bit. I'd be up at 4, get into work at the gym for 5, solid hours training to try and keep up with these young lads who are 27, 28. Yeah. And there's proper units in Trojan, just some really fit boys and girls. And obviously I was like almost 57 at the end, and I was killing myself in the gym for minimum gains, so I didn't shame myself when we went on calls. But it was just amazing. And the thing about all policing is you haven't got a clue what's happening that day.
But that's the exciting bit, right?
That's what makes it so special.
Yeah.
And I think I was never destined to work in an office. And that's not digging out people who work in offices. Yeah, we're all different horses for courses. But I mean, when I was a young lad, from about 14, I took up karate for a whole host of reasons. And I'd just be locked into it. Got on the England karate team, then the national squad, fought in the European Championships.
Nice.
Got me 5th down. It was just like, and I lived for karate. Just lived for the discipline of it. I loved fighting basically.
Yeah.
I just loved it. Competing, met amazing people, and then that evolved. One day I was teaching somebody and said, "Have you ever thought about joining the police?" I was like, "Why would I join the police?" I was up 25, and he said, "Kev, you are just cut out for the lifestyle. You know, this is you." And I stuck an application in. I don't even know why I did it. It's bearing in mind my family background was a little bit checkered.
Yeah.
I thought they'll never have me with some of the people in my family. But sure enough, I got a board. I got through all the assessments, and I got a board at it used to be Paddington Police Station then. And I mean, the first question is, I think it was the superintendent. He said, "About your dad." Right, I was like, wow, because nowadays when you get an interview, it's all set, isn't it?
Yeah,
And there are set
yeah.
questions. And then they asked me about another family member, and we had a really honest chat.
Yeah.
And I thought, I love this. It's just honest. You know, they want to know, what will I do? What do I think? And I passed. And then next thing I know, I'm walking through the gates of Hendon. Didn't know what I'd let myself in for. I'd never watched an episode of The Bill. In fact, the only TV cop show I ever watched was The Sweeney,
Yeah.
which I thought, wow, that's coppery.
Yeah.
Right? But I rolled into Hendon, and from day one, the discipline of the martial arts, you know, because I joined in the 70s, and karate in the 70s was a pretty brutal affair.
Yeah.
Very few kids did it.
Yeah.
It's mostly adults. It was very full on. There was no protective equipment. There was no weight categories. It was just like, turn up, get battered, go home, repeat. And joining the police was like that same discipline, that don't whinge, turn up. When you put your gi on, you're in play. There's no, oh, can I not fight tonight, or can I not do this?
Yeah.
If you put your gi on,
Game on.
game on.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, the uniform is the same. You turn up at work and put a police uniform on, you've accepted that anything can come your way. And I'm lucky, because I had quite an interesting childhood, quite a tough childhood. That, and then the dojo made me tougher.
Yeah.
That mental toughness was, and also sense of humour. My mum's Irish, she's recently died, but she had the best sense of humour in the. So that ability to laugh at almost anything, that's
a gift, by the way.
It is, isn't it? And so she had grit, but she had a sense of humour. So no matter what happened, my mum, who was raising 5 kids on her own, Catholic, on a council estate where everyone's Protestant and hates us, right? So that ability to laugh and take it on the chin and keep going forward just worked for me in the police. Just turn up. You're going to have bad days. I went home some nights, especially when you join. You screw up. You really screw up. And people are brutal. There's a brutal honesty about policing, or there was, where it's not bullying, where someone sits you down and says, you've really let yourself down there, mate, or you screwed up there, or you weren't thinking. And you go home and you sit on the bed, head in your hands, thinking, I've got to do it all again tomorrow. But if you're learning, it's amazing how quickly people forgive you. Like, say, that lad really wants to be good. He really wants to get involved. And I think so honestly, there's an honesty in the police that I loved, and that black sense of humour. No matter what you went to, however bad it was, we'd sit in the canteen, write our notes, excuse me, and we'd be someone, too soon, maybe. But that ability to laugh at what we've just, not taking the mick out of it, just say, because we know the next one's coming. In the police, there's no decompression time. It's not like something bad happens and we all sit around for a week and we'll decompress. And especially on firearms, you go to one incident, someone's been shot, stabbed, hems might be there and they've cracked the chest and they're massaging the heart and you're there helping. And then the next minute, you're having a coffee, you're going to McDonald's and you're having your little ice cream. And then another call comes out and there's no time to sort of work it out in your head what you've just dealt with. And then the shift's over. And you're going home on the train with loads of people just all chatting away, and you're sat there like, you have
no clue. What
idea. I'll never forget one. I went to a call where the guy had been shot and stabbed. It was just in a terrible state, this young
Where
man.
were you? Where was it?
This was of all places, Bromley, just outside Bromley, which isn't a place where we go to very often. And he'd been shot on his doorstep, this young lad. And we were there working on him, and then Hems turned up, and they got this, basically he was going. So they got this device that cracks open the chest. They've got the heart out, they're massaging the heart. And then suddenly from that, you're sort of thinking, save the life. And the medical training in SO19, the medics are just off the radar.
What does SO19 stand for?
Well, when I joined, it was called SO19. It was Specialist Ops.
Specialist, okay.
And then Specialist Ops became CO19, Central Operations, and then it became MO19. And they're probably rebranding it now.
Yeah.
But SO, Specialist Ops.
You were the creme de la creme.
Well, do you know what?
Remember back, yeah.
I mean, they rolled out, and I think it was 1991.
Yeah.
I think the commissioner and a few other people finally realised you've got to have guns on the street. You're not going to arm your normal old bill. You're not. It's just too big a problem to solve. And society wouldn't accept it, and I think most cops don't want it either. So 19 was formed, the ARVs was formed, rather, and the armed response vehicles had a remit. Spontaneous, it's happening now, right? So bloke in the street with a gun, bloke in the street with a knife, someone says they're going to go and kill their missus. All that, something crazy is about to happen, spontaneous, no time to wait, and you've got to get guns to that call. You've got to get between them and the person they're going to hurt. And that's the great thing about 19. You have to get in the middle.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, and we've only got one remit, save life. So person is in possession of a firearm, immediate access to a firearm, or otherwise so dangerous. And that otherwise so dangerous is the coverall. That's for the person who has a mental breakdown and starts wanting to kill their kids, schizophrenic or whatever, or someone's using their vehicle maybe to harm someone, or it can cover anything. Even someone walking around saying they've got a suicide vest on. It's otherwise so dangerous. And so that remit covered everything. And there's a little cap on the end of that as the humane destruction of animals in pain, which I thought, well, we'll never do that. But then the amount of people who buy fighting dogs, these big, suddenly, and then they buy them and they live in a flat, and they've got, Fido in the kitchen, eat in the kitchen, and maybe biting the kids. And occasionally we'd turn up and we'd have to dispatch this dog, which was it's a brutal thing. It's meant humane destruction. Yeah. But there's nothing pretty about shooting an animal with solid slug from a shotgun. And it has to be done. It's the only safe way. Often dog handlers have gone in and said, we can't deal with that. Yeah. It's far too dangerous. So then it falls to 19. And there's not a soul at 19 who wants to harm an animal.
Yeah, sure.
I've got dogs, love dogs, had them all my life. But you have to do your duty. That animal's a threat. So 19, that spontaneous world. And for me, that's what I absolutely crave, that ability to just turn up and you do not know what you're going to face. And it can be bonk. Like, I'll never forget, right near the end of my career, we got a call to Brixton, a couple of calls, which usually gives it a bit of validity. Yeah. Bloke going into a park, first thing in the morning, got a shotgun, think he's going to kill himself. And you're like, right, let's get down there and try and stop him. And we get there and we sort of, it's like 5-6 o'clock in the morning in Brixton, this park in Brixton, and we're sort of circling and we're doing a little bit of tactical movement through the bushes because he has got a shotgun, supposedly. And then as we get near this big sort of area, so all branches and bush, you can hear something inside, and then you hear, and it's a didgeridoo. And there's this guy, and he's just to get a bit of me time to get out of the house, right? He goes out Saturday morning armed with his didgeridoo, and he sits in the park in the bush, and obviously over the radio, someone goes, "Have you guessed what it is, mate?" Right? And so you imagine the look on his face when he sees a load of armed Bill sort of snurgling through the bushes tactically to be faced with.
Is there an occasion that really springs out in your mind? You went, "That was really dangerous."
Oh, there's multiple calls you go to that have the high risk. You have to intercede. You have to intervene because if you don't, someone's going to die. Yeah. I mean, probably one of the most, for me, it was early in my early days, and we were night duty. I was with two top operators, and that's what made it work. And we were driving around Lewisham, and it's not late. It's about maybe 10 o'clock at night, and a call came out saying, we heard on the local link on the local radio about hostages, which is like straight up our street, hostages, that's firearms all day long. Yeah. But it hadn't been declared a firearms incident. No one was putting it out on the radio. There was like they were keeping it in-house. So we drove to the address, and the car park at this block of flats, you had TSG, were like for want of a much better word, like the right public order trained. So the TSG were their local units.
What's TSG?
Territorial Support Group.
Okay.
And they're like the riot trade, police that deal with riots. Okay. But also they do all sorts of operations. So I'm not mugging you off, lads. Yeah. Right, but very professional people. And often a lot of TSG then make the jump to 19. It's a natural
stepping stone.
Exactly. Because a lot of confrontational policing, which is something we'll talk about later, but confrontational policing is your bread and butter at 19. De-escalation, turning up, things are very hostile, bringing them back down so no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
But at this hot sun, we walk in, and there's a local inspector there, duty officer, the sergeants, the territorial support group, governor, the inspector, and they're all in hot conversation. And I'm like, and this tiny little flat was baking round with people. I said, what's going on? They said, well, the guy's British military guy. He's had a complete mental breakdown, crisis. He's taken both the kids, tiny little kids, but I know, so high, and he's taken them into the bathroom, locked the door, and he's going to kill them at midnight. And you can just hear him praying. And he's got a massive knife in there. Oh. And I'm just looking at it thinking, well, we can't leave. And this is definitely not TSG's remit, because they do entries for people in a house with a knife or whatever, but they don't do hostage. Hostage is SO19, and predominantly hostage is above even ARV. That is for the SFOs, which is the level above ARV. Yeah. Where we patrol, the SFOs are trained in hostage rescue and a whole host of other, or CTSFOs as they're now called since the Olympics, but they have a skill set way out there. So, but they weren't called. And I think they were actually that night, there was a team on, but they were busy on the job. So I remember going up to the governor, I'm on PC, and saying to this inspector, like, we're here and we're taking over. And he's like, are you? I'm like, yeah, we are, because it's a hostage situation. Yeah, well, it could happen now. He could suddenly change his mind, not wait till midnight. Yeah. So, and firearms capability is what this is all about. You could hear the kids crying. There's just a door separating us.
So you're the flat next door?
No, we're in the flat, and we're outside the bathroom door. He's the other side of the door with the kids, saying it's going to kill him.
Oh, my God.
So we're literally about, a couple of inches separated. Yeah. And I remember I was with two grape guys, and we said, right, we came up with a plan. The clock was ticking. So there was a borough PC trying to get a report going, trying to talk to him. And he was doing a cracking job.
To slow him down.
Get a report, get something to maybe bring him back. But suddenly, then his voice would go up, he'd start praying, he started doing things, and you're thinking, we got to go. And we thought, right, so we got there's a holy bar, which is a big metal thing with a spike on the end. And it was an outward opening door, which is unusual for a toilet door. And I remember, so we had a plan, and one of the lads was going to stand there with the MP5, and two of us were going to go in. And if he went to stab the kids or the shot was going to be taken. Right. No, you have to save life. And that means you might have to take a preemptive shot. You might have to jump in there and save life. And those kids are why we were there. They're coming out of there in one piece, and that means me and my mate who are going in, we're going to put our necks on the line here, because he's a unit. He's got a big knife, and he's clearly extremely screwed up. It's really messed up, and we don't want to hurt him, but we got to stop him. So at the appointed hour, we all sort of look at each other. Right, it's almost midnight. The nods. The door got breached. And me and my mate, we just went straight in, and we had a plan. Just go for his arms. Get them arms, and it just turned into but the kids were snatched out. Next thing we're fighting in the bus, a taser's going off. There wasn't a shot, thank God, no one got shot. We're fighting, we get the knife off him, and we get him detained. And the whole thing, from breaching the door to rescuing these kids, took seconds, seconds. And everybody is breathing the biggest sigh of relief, because no one wants to hurt this soldier. No, not in a million years. Right? He came out unharmed. The children were unharmed. I mean, psychologically, God knows what these, but those children came out there unharmed. And there was just a massive thank God. Yeah. Because imagine he'd killed those kids. And we'd stood there debating. Well, what about this?
And you're still thinking whether to go in there and do a job. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we?
What made you wait until close to midnight? Because the conversations going well?
Yeah, because exactly. There's always that chance
that he might just go, do you know what?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And they do. The amount of people who sort of really talk the talk, but when it comes to it, they got a red dot on their chest or they get a gun pointed at them, they surrender pretty quick. Yeah. But this guy, he was really, really unstable. He was very, very upset and agitated. He'd talk a little bit, but ultimately he wasn't coming out. And 100% of my mind, I knew in my mind, he's killing the kids. Yeah. He's going to kill them. And there's no way that's happening. Yeah. And I was with two amazing people. And if they hear this, they know who they are.
Who are they?
Well, I'll say Gareth and another lovely lad. I can't say his name. I want to be SFOs.
Yeah, okay.
And
Fair play to them. Fair play to all of you.
Yeah, and I remember coming out and everybody was just at the euphoria. It's just like, we have done.
Yeah.
You go home that night and you're thinking, I've done a good thing today. Yeah. And you don't always feel that when you go home as a copper. You don't go home thinking, we are the real deal. Well, sometimes you go home, you're banging your head on the wall. But that night, I know, if I go to my grave, those 2 kids are alive because of that. And that's the thing about Trojan. You have, or for me anyway.
When you say Trojan, is that when people make the call Trojan?
Yeah,
and that's when you respond.
Yeah, so I should probably give you a little. Yeah, the call sign for firearms units have a call sign. SO19 are Trojan units. Heathrow armed officers who guarded the terminals were called Hunter units. Okay. The armed officers who looked after embassies used to be called Ranger units. So you had Hunter for embassies, for the airport, Ranger for diplomatic for embassies. Oh. And they had very strict sort of remit about standing around embassies and blah, blah, blah. But Trojan, we had a scope to go anywhere, to patrol and respond to anything. And also, remember, you might just drive into something like that. We weren't told to go to that call. We just heard it on a local link. We turned up. And I remember when it was over, chatting to the base, and the base were like, good work, lads. What's next? There was no, right? No, there's no, we went back, we wrote our notes. And we were back on the road. I mean, we did get commendations for that much, much later. But that's one of those calls. But you go to so many, especially in those days when there were so few cars. And everything, you go to these things and there's no one there holding your hand. There's not a superintendent. I was a PC, so there's no one turning up going, don't do that, do this.
You were making your own decisions.
And that was one of the reasons I love Trojan. Because Trojan officers, the best Trojan officers, doesn't matter what rank you're an inspector, a PC, skipper, the best Trojan officers can make a decision. You turn up, and it might be multiple stabbings, it might be shots fired at cars crashed, someone shot in the car, suspects in a building. It's a whole load of stuff going on, and you've got to be able to go, boom, right, this is the plan, on me, emergency at that address, contain that, do this. And you are multitasking. You are the king or queen of multitasking. And I go back to my childhood, the ability to make decisions, good decisions under stress, or through my police career at Notting Hill, just turn up, fixing things. Yeah. What's the safest way to do this? That rolled into 19. And 19 is just like, I think they say it's a department of like 200 superintendents because everyone thinks they're in charge, right? But the people who turn up at firearms calls, and the public don't appreciate this, you don't just walk on, jump on the back seat of an ARV. You have to have credentials, and those credentials are earned on borough or TSG or where. Or some of the guys come from the military. They leave the military, they join the police, they do their time on borough, and then they turn up on 19. And so that car will have a wealth of experience just of policing, let alone firearms. And then the bolt on. I mean, ultimately, you're cops with guns. So you're a copper. I mean, I'll never forget I remember I was a probationer and we got a call. A mate of mine had just joined SO19. I was so impressed because the failure rate was off the radar past the course. I was like, I thought he walked on water, my magic. He'd passed the SO19 ARV course and he had to go to Lehman Street to get some kit. And I was standing by the car and because I was 28 then, I think they assumed it was me because I was old, right? And a couple of skippers come over and chatted to me, and then they realised I was just a probationer. And his skipper's mood changed. He goes, just remember this, we won't even talk to you till you've got 10 years under your belt as a copper. Okay? And that stayed with me. I thought, I won't even knock on their door till I've got something in my back pocket, something that says I've done it, I can make decisions, I'm used to confrontation, I can back myself, I know the job inside out. So I went away, and even though I didn't know I was going to join Trojan, I think in my subconscious I became an advanced driver. I got involved in a ton of stuff. And I think subconsciously, I suppose one day I thought, I'm going to come back here. Yeah. And I joined when I was 12. And I know I'll be green as an ARV officer, and there's a ton to learn, but I will have credibility. I'll sit in that room and I'll look at them all and go, I know you're all
there.
I'm up there. Yeah. I'm not like you, like you've all done it for years. I'm here to learn, and that credibility, and also like I turned up, I'm thinking you've got to bring something to the party. So I'll bring calm. I will not flap. I'll be fit as a butcher's dog. So I was training. Yeah. I had the martial arts in my back pocket. And I was just thinking I will be unflapped. And I think about coppers, and I think this is true of every copper. You've got to be an expert. And, an expert in whatever you do. So handcuffing, be an expert. Yeah. So it's easy handcuffing at training school when the boat goes, get off.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like handcuffing your mum or something. Yeah. Like the reality is, so maybe not my mum.
Maybe I was going to say.
No, my mum would kick off.
Yeah.
But ultimately, be an expert.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, be an expert. And so I was brilliant on maps.
Yeah.
I was absolutely fabulous on radios because, I'm jumping around here, but when you're in an ARV, an armed response vehicle, it's got 3 people and you've got specific roles. You've got the driver who's an advanced driver and he's going to get you from A to B as quick as possible. Yeah. So that's some full-out driving. Then you got in the back, you got maps. Now in 2003, there's no computers. It's just a map. No, you're sitting there with a map book, right? And your driver's already driving at walk factor 10, actually, and you're like, and you're trying to read a map book as he is doing everything that makes you sick, right? And I used to suffer with terrible car sickness, right? So maps has been killed. And up front, you've got comms, and comms is probably the hardest job because you've got a radio back to the control room, to the Met, the main radio. Then you've got a radio back to the base, who'll be giving you TAC advice. Then you've got the radio for the local borough. Then you've got a radio in your ear talking to the other cars. So when you're running, so if you're comms, you might have 4 radios on the go.
And your adrenaline is pumping.
Yeah. And then suddenly out of the blue, your phone goes. And pray God, and you miss it.
Yeah.
Right? Not now, dear. Yeah. Right? So it's full on. That operator is in meltdown. And so
you got 3 of the creme de la creme in one car there.
Exactly. You got 3.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
what's that feeling like when you get to the scene, but you haven't got a clue what the scene's about, but you know someone's in the middle of a big drug deal, or you know someone's robbing a bank, or you know someone's about to shoot someone, having a shoot off in the street. What's that feeling like for you going into something like that?
Well, for me, invariably, it doesn't happen often. Sometimes you are around the corner and so you just react. But you might be driving from, say, central London to Hackney or Brixton or wherever. Those few minutes in the car, you're planning. 19 is everything about 19 you have a plan. And the plan might just be emergency search on me. That's the plan. Or it might be a lot more complicated than that. But ultimately, you're talking to the other cars, you're talking to the crew. You're being calm. There's no place for red mist, anger, screaming. Don't be wrong. You screw up on maps, the guy in drive is going to tell you, because it's life and death. You jump on a motorway and there's no turning for 5 miles and some bloke's going to an address. This is life and death. So you cannot make mistakes. It's brutal. So if you mess up, you're going to hear all about it. So there is tension in the car, but it's a positive tension. Like everyone is like, excuse the expression, is firing on all cylinders. You have to perform. And you've got to remember, the guy in the back is also not only reading maps, he's got to load the guns. Yeah. Sorry. The MP5s, which are in the safe. So at a critical moment, he's going to throw the map down, open the safe, get the MP5 out, lock and leave, mag in, working parts forward, check it's in battery, which means it's ready to go. Yeah. Select the leaves, definitely safe. And he's going to pass it forward to comms. He's got to take the gun, get it on, still doing comms, and it's all going off. And the driver is still driving whatever to get you there. There's so much happening in that car. And then you hit the RVP, or it might be go to that front door. He's in the address now, he's attacking his miss or whatever. You might just literally, it's straight to the front door, emergency search, and you're in. But so in that few crucial seconds, but that's why the training is so great, because sometimes you don't, we're all we're all on the same page. Let's get in there and save life. And when as an OFC, as Operational Firearms Commander, it's a course you go on, and it leads you to plan firearms operations, lead firearms operations. It's not rank specific. You have sergeants do it, PCs do it, governors do it. I used to love it. I love nothing more than turning up and just saying, right, go, get me a black in, which means get the back. The back of a house is never the back. On firearms, the back of the house is always black. In fact, if you're ever out and you hear someone say, my black garden, they're a firearms officer.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So get me a black in. Yeah. Someone gets to cover the front door. Right, I need a team on me. What kit? And so you're working with really professional people. They know what roles. And there's an expression on firearms called filling in the gaps. And it's that ability. You're never a passenger. You turn up, you're looking around. What do I need to do? What hasn't been done? Right, first aid kit, get it out of the car. Who's got the long shield? Who needs this? Do you need that? Everyone's everyone's sparking. Everyone is like doing their bit. And because you're surrounded by these people, things just run so smoothly. Yeah. There's no passengers. And because we've all been through the same course, the same intensity, there's no free pass on Trojan. You have to perform. And Trojan debriefs were legendary. In fact, Trojan debriefs probably put more people off joining the department, because you do a job, back to the nick, and then we'd sit down and you debrief every element of it, literally in detail. And back in my day, there was no body-worn camera, so you might get away with having a moment, right, doing something daft. Yeah. But now, body-worn camera, everything's there for So debriefs are brutal. But again, not bullying. But, if your mistake could have cost someone their life or got someone injured, or, and that's what the world we're talking about, worst case scenario, then you have to know and you have to be told. But the thing I found, and obviously I screwed up when I was new, because every job's different. It's not like a template. Every job is different.
When's the point though? Every job's different. But I'm trying to visualize this. You're going in, bang, that instant half a second, whether you're going to pull that trigger or not. What is that consequences for you if you do pull the trigger? Are you thinking consequences? Okay, I'm going to take him out, but consequences if I made a mistake, or consequences that your boss is going, that wasn't good enough, you're going to get the sack?
Well, for a start, on pulling the trigger is down to, no one can order you to pull the trigger. I'm saying that in general terms. Yeah. Terrorism's a bit of a different thing. But you go to a call, it's your training, it's your perception, your risk assessment. You're looking at the threat. I've never once thought, I don't think you could go to work and think about being an AOV officer and thinking, if I do my job, I could be in a world of pain. If I do my duty correctly, I could get the sack or end up in court. You can't go to work like that. Okay. You have to go to work and just say, I will do what is right. Well, as I perceive to be right, my risk assessment. And that's why you've got to have calm heads. Yeah. People who don't, lose the plot. And so you turn up, and it doesn't matter what it is. I've had people come out and point toy guns at me. I've had people come out with all sorts of stuff. I had some idiot once, he kept his back to me, he's meant to have a gun, and he just kept ducking down behind a car. And I'm, you met your threat assessments through the roof. And I'm like, mate, just, come on, show me your hands. Just show me your hands. And then, sure enough, he jumps out and he's pointing his mobile phone at me. I'm like, do you want to get shot? Do you? And he thought it was funny. This was a guy who thought it was funny to take you to the absolute edge. Yeah. Fortunately, I didn't shoot him. But you know what? Some people might have. He's done everything. Everything about his actions is telling me he's got a weapon. Yeah. Everything is ignoring all challenges, and that takes us back to like swearing. Police officers in SO19 swear. Police officers everywhere swear, because you have to dominate that person. You have to, and there's if you've been told there's a guy in a car with a gun, or 3 or 4 guys in a car, and they're on the way to do really bad stuff. And you stop him, stop a guy in the street, and he won't show you his hands. Keep your hands where I can see him, and he won't. And you see American clips of cops getting shot all the time. Innocuous calls, and then the guy suddenly shoots him like that in a blink. That's how quick it happens. You have to dominate them. So the language, and I'll be honest with you, like, you are saying, show me your fucking hands, and you are saying, you better do it, mate. You have got to do. You better comply, because you're dealing with serious people who have trained, people who are ready. We're here, and we're going to stop you. And they've got to know that. And by doing that, by dominating them and swearing them and unbelievably aggressive, they 99
gives you the advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what you want. Verbal domination is everything. And that's the great thing about the job. And I got it from karate, that ability that the moment they drop the gun or the knife, or they just lie on the ground and they comply, it's like a switch. You're like, right, we're all cool again. Yeah. It's like, I'm not all running around for the next 2 hours, or like, and karate with that whole ability to yame. The moment someone says yame, like in boxing, the bell, the moment
you're off.
Yeah. And then yame, stop. So if they're fighting, the moment they stop fighting, it's game over. Great. They're in cuffs. There's no cheeky shots. Yeah. It's over. They fought. They're in cuffs. We won. That's because we have to win. It's not, if you're listening to this and you're thinking of joining the police, have a look in the mirror at yourself. What are you bringing to the party? Are you fit? And I don't mean 6-pack. I mean, are you fit? Because it's not just say, I can do the bleep test. I don't even know what that proves. Yeah. It's not just being fit. You have to chase someone. Well, what happens if you catch them? Well, if they've ran, they're probably going to fight. So you've caught them. Well, now you're fighting. Well, if anyone who's ever had a fight knows it's the most exhausting thing in the world. All right. And you might be on your jack. So forget the bleep test. What are you bringing to the party? Be fit. Have mental grit. Are you tough? Can you take the abuse you'll get? Can you? And I don't think there's a lot of coppers now getting recruited that maybe aren't out asking those questions. And the job should be asking them. Like when I joined your job, like I said, my interview was brutally honest.
Yeah.
Now we're asking, show me examples of when you were, when you challenged someone in the, like, oh, for God's sake, really?
Yeah.
Really? We need people, I think the public deserve police officers who will turn up, who are fit. And again, I'm not mean Superman, but fit, motivated.
Can handle themselves.
And like, I've got a friend of mine, his son is joining the police at the moment, he's got an application in. He's up at 4 o'clock in the morning, he's got an office job, he's up at 4 in the morning, in the town, jiu-jitsu for an hour or whatever, coming home from work, he's out running, hitting the weight. He's training every day. So even though he doesn't know law and all that stuff, he'll get taught that. Yeah. But he's bringing something to the party. Yeah. And when he hits team, people will look at him and go, that's a fit lad.
Yeah. I want him on my team.
Exactly.
You want to look left and look right. If you're playing rugby, you want to look left and look right. He's going to back me up. He's going to back me up. Do you reckon the old Bill feel like that these days? You probably saw all over the press of the last week, Lorne Castle being sacked for swearing and pulling down a guy with a knife this big, double-ended knife. He's just been completely lost his 48 grand job, got 3 kids, bam, gone. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I watched it, and loads of my mates, obviously I'm retired now, were sending me some thoughts, Kev, and I'm like, well, coming from Firearms, I think, what, he swore, so what? Yeah. I mean, even at worst case scenario, I think he might have apologised, or he said, whatever he pleaded, I don't care, right? He's probably under duress doing that, trying to keep his job. But the bottom line is, in the good old days, that would have been like the governor might even go, mate, you need to chill out a bit. And that had been dealt with. It would never have gone for gross. And is it proportionate? Is it proportionate an officer's putting his neck on the line where he's clearly an active cop. He is not shying away from work. Yeah. He is out there doing it. And even if I reckon you should have enough stuff in the bank, enough sort of collateral in the bank, that if you make a little mistake, you shouldn't be going for a misconduct hearing. Yeah.
Agree.
You should be in an office with your governor going, mate, you might want to chill out a bit. And I'm not talking about law now, I'm just talking in general. Yeah. You're a little bit overzealous there. Might want to turn it down a notch. Yeah. Yes, sir, I appreciate that. Maybe even a written, all right, then we take his written warning.
But that all comes down to relationship with your boss, or the boss going, I've been on the streets, I get it, I understand. Yeah. But if your boss ain't been on the streets, they're calling the shots from the head office.
Well, I do feel there's like a disconnect. I mean, when I was at First on 19, our commissioner was Sir John Stevens. And I remember walking into Scotland Yard one day for a briefing, and he was walking out, and he was in a suit, and we had a new lad from the counties who didn't recognise him, and he didn't say hello. And so John Stevens turns around and he goes, excuse me, he goes, when do my armed officers not say hello to the commissioner? He loved it. He thought we were fantastic. He carried a gun himself. He'd been a shot. So the commissioner got it, right? There's a senior officer in the moment in the Met, Matt Twist. I think I won't lie and get his rank wrong, but he was a Trojan 1, which was an inspector on firearms. He's been a shot. He's done loads of stuff. Matt Twist will get firearms, right? But how many people don't? In fact, there's a lot of people, senior officers, civilian roles, will see firearms as well, can't they do more? I remember one Christmas we were told we had to do tickets. Somebody in office decided SO19 needed to start doing tickets, cycle lanes or something. And I was just like, that is never going to happen. Right? But obviously, a few of the newer lads were a bit pressurised and did some tickets. And then I found out months later, almost every one of them was voided because they were so badly done.
What happens when you get a call and you know there's a terrorist attack? What, were you around on the London Bridge?
Yeah, I was at London Bridge.
Were you?
In fact, I was at London Bridge. One of sort of, you just fill in the gaps. That's that classic moment. I mean, he'd already been dealt with, hadn't he, by the members of the public who'd stepped up and already taken him out. But he had a vest on, I believe, so firearms officers were covering him, and I believe he did get shot in that thing, all right? So he was dealt with. But then it's all the other stuff. Is there another attacker? Is there a third eye? So I remember, just literally getting the team on me. We cleared Borough Market. Right, after that, where we go now, there was a mole under London Bridge. So we cleared that. Because there's one, there can be two, there can be three. You don't know if there's going to be other. And then you're thinking, is this like multi-seated? Is it like Paris? Is there going to be an attack somewhere in Bluewater or the West Coast or that Westgate Centre or whatever? So you're not just sitting there thinking, well, he's dealt with. What now? So cars started getting put in sort of locations thinking, right, everyone's on standby. What's next? Right? And that was dealt with brilliantly. And the public, talk about step up.
Amazing.
Incredible. And one
guy just come out of prison.
Yeah. And you have to say, talk about civic duty. Bear in mind this guy had a vest on. Yeah. They didn't care about their own personal safety. Yeah. They ran to the danger. And that's what all coppers do. And maybe that's what, again, the public, you don't get it. That's no disrespect to the public. Like, it's not your world, right? But coppers go to work, and it's not great money. They're putting their neck on the line, and they really are. And
it's a tough job.
It is, and what you want is to know that your governor, and all the way up, they've got your back.
Yeah.
They're saying, and even if you make a mistake, if it's an honest held belief, if you honestly believe that what you're doing is the right thing, and then later on, with hindsight, it turns out that muggins or migging, whatever, people go, we get you. We understand. You're a good cop. This happened. We understand. You're not getting a gross misconduct. It's like when police officers drive on blues and twos. That's your license. You haven't got a special police license that gives you exemptions. If you mess up, or if someone else messes up and hits you, you're getting absolutely scrutinised by traffic, right, to see if you've messed up. And I've had colleagues go to court. And you think, right, a call comes out, any Trojan unit, someone's about to do this. You have to get there. Yeah. So you're driving safely, but you're driving. Yeah. You are on blues and twos. Now, if there's an accident, you don't want an accident, because if you don't get there, you ain't doing your job. But if you have a collision, let's have a bit of understanding. Why were you driving that way? Because I was trying to get there and stop. I mean, I'll never forget this. It was just after Christmas, a good few years ago. And I was in a car with a girl called Donna, ex-military girl, lovely lady. And my skipper, PT, was a beast. Sorry, Paul. And and we're driving through Brixton. It's whatever time. And I'm going, in that morning, I'm taking my triplets to Norway to see my brother. It's a big deal.
Triplets.
Yeah.
Fair play.
So I'm thinking, I'm not getting off late. I have to be on that flight, right? And it's like early hours. And PT just goes, do you know that car on the briefing that's been doing all the carjackings? It's behind us. I'm like, and I look in the window, and there's these two proper bad gentlemen in the car behind me. And they say they've carjacked that. It's full of all the Christmas presents. They're both meant to be armed with really large knives. They've done multiple carjackings all over Christmas, and they have caused serious problems on Brixton's ground. And I'm thinking, who'll blink first? And next thing, he does a sharp right into a side road. Obviously, I've done a U-boat, and now we're chasing him round Brixton in the early hours. And these are bad men. They have to be stopped. And we're going down, was it Summerlayton Road, to all the local units, and we're flying down this road, right, in the early hours. And then next thing, he must have clipped something, right? Next thing, he goes airborne, and he goes through a telephone box, through a sort of 8-10 foot brick wall, narrowly misses this huge tree, and then crashes and catches fire. And we're out. We've run to the car expecting a massive fight with these guys. But they're both unconscious because the airbags have gone. Yeah. They are really fucked up. So we're thinking, right, we've got to save them. So we dragged these two out, checking they're okay. And I'm stand back and I'm thinking, right, we've nicked them. We've got the car back. The cars are right off. So mum and dad ain't happy about that. But we open the boot full of presents. So the kids are getting their presents back. I'm thinking, that's cool. And we're all laughing and thinking, good job. This is a cracking job. And then traffic turned up, and he's looking at this scene, like two people on stretchers, a car on fire, telephone gone.
Christmas presents on the back, yeah.
And I'm thinking, he's going to go, nice one, Trojan. Yeah. He's like, can I see your permit? I'm like, come on, mate. How about a little bit of Christmas spirit here? Yeah. And all he's thinking about is, well, have you driven to the safe driving policy? And they're like, come on, mate. Yeah. We're all on the same team here. We're catching bad people. And that means, and there's a thing in the police now that for tactical contact where you can use your car to stop a car. And that's, and I'm not saying we don't ram them, but, you can force their car off the road, T-packing and all sorts of
Have you ever been shot at?
I've had guns pulled on me, yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Tell me that.
Well, when I was on Borough, an unarmed officer got a call from a proactive unit saying, Kev, you anywhere near? I was driving the area car. They said, you anywhere near this road? I went, yeah. And they said, we've got a guy on foot. We've got to stop him. So we're driving to this road, and there he is, guy in a suit, proper lump, and he's off. So I'm out on foot, me and my mate, we're chasing him, and we're thinking, what's this all about? I haven't got a clue. Next thing, he opens his jacket, turns round, he's got this bloody huge, great big handgun, and he's like, but as he brings the gun to bear, he trips on the curb, goes absolutely flying, and the gun goes flying through the air, which is a right result.
Oh, right.
And we jump on him, and it turns out he's Eastern European, this guy. So we're having a proper ding-dong with him because they can fight. This guy can fight, right? Yeah. And obviously he's got a good reason to get away. So sure enough, it was Eastern European. I always said he was Russian, but someone told me the other day it wasn't. But loaded Trojan turn up to make the weapon safe to prove it. And it's a loaded firearm. It's a SLP, self-loading pistol. So there's one in the breech ready to go. Was he going to shoot us? I don't know. Or was he getting out to throw it? I don't know. Yeah. But it's still one of those moments you think, oh, that turned out okay, thank God. But It didn't put me off. It didn't put me off at all. It just made me like, this is the deal. I put my uniform on like a gee. You turn up, and this is what you can walk into. And in Trojan, I've had people do all sorts of things. I've had people, and again, I think for me, it was just about your training. For me, I trained and trained and trained, you know, to always be, if I can work,
to be the best
I could be.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the best shot. I wasn't the best, but as a package, I know I was a sound day officer.
Yeah.
And I would turn up and people would trust me. And I know people would follow me. And that's people talk about leadership.
Well, you had a lot of respect.
Well, yeah, because I'd done it. But also you get respect by how much you're prepared to risk.
Yeah.
You know, like I had kids. I wasn't sort of saying, well, and I'm getting on a bit now. You know, I'm still out on the street. I'm still taking the risk. And because I love my colleagues, I really do think the world of them. Like, they're taking the risk. I can't not.
Yeah.
In fact, I reckon if I'd walked away and say, no, can I have a little side job or whatever? And I'm sure they'd said yes, because I was getting on a bit. But, I don't think, I just felt like I'd have been letting them down. I know I'd have been letting them down. And even though they could all do the job, they don't need me there. They're very, very capable people. Just something in me saying, I want to be there in the mix with them.
Yeah.
And that's why you become an OFC, so you plan things, lead things. But also being short, when I joined 19, I was often number one. But when you have an address, you're searching an address, you have a thing called a stick. And it's 6 or 7 officers, guy at the front with a shield with his block. Yeah. And you sort of breach the door, you call them out. And if they don't come out, what they do, you're going to search that address, and there's tactics for searching. Well, I was a number one a lot. And so that door goes in. If there's someone on the other side of that door, and sometimes there was, you're the first person they see. And sometimes they go for it, sometimes they don't. And some people do not want that role. Some people, it's just not, you know, me, I loved it. I loved being number one. I actually loved it. I just like, for me, it was just like that focus. Like, it's almost like, and I know it's apologies to everyone listening, but you're closing down an address at, you know, on a state you've never been to in your life. There's maybe someone there with a gun who's done whatever. And you're closing that address down and that door, and you have no idea how this is playing out. And this team are behind you, and your one job is to protect them all, right? So they can set up on the door and do what they need to do. Yeah. You're protecting them. I love that responsibility. I loved it. And then when I was the OFC, you were maybe 2 or 3 down the stick. You got a number one protecting me, and you give them a little tap, and they're smiling, and you think everyone would be highly stressed out, but they're not. There's winks and smiles. Sometimes we might have had to, because Trojan don't use lifts, and you all know that, Trojan officers. We always take the stairs when everyone gets stuck in a lift. So we might have gone 9 flights of stairs in all that kit, all the kit. You get to whatever floor, and all you can hear on it is everyone's like, and that's that moment where, like, as an OFC, you go like, hold. We're all going to take a moment to reflect, right? And then everyone gets their breath, and they go, right, ready? And it's that look, and that's maybe one thing I miss. That look of people like, yeah, let's go. That trust, and I don't know if sportsmen, I think, get that. I really think sportsmen get it.
I'm linking this a lot with sport.
Yeah, well,
everything talking about it, just the mindset, the will to be the best, the will to win, looking out for your teammates. There's all of this going on. A lot like rugby,
exactly. And I used to equate like the OFC was like the scrum half or the fly, whatever. You know, like you're at the back, you're looking at everybody, you're making the call. Stay on that, hold that door. We're going up these stairs, or we've got someone in that room. Right, they're coming out. We're going to hold that corridor. You're making all these tactics up on the hoof, completely on the hoof. And there's no book saying you must do this, you must do that. It's down your instincts and your training. But that look, when you look at your mates and they wink or they give you a thumbs up, and you're thinking, you know, like in the movie, it's all so tense, isn't it? On SWAT, everyone's like, but it's not like that. You're talking really cool people doing an extraordinary job, and it is extraordinary. I mean, Britain's a society of no firearms, isn't it? So the only people who have them, apart from the landed gentry, running around with shotguns, right? The only people who have guns are bad people and us. And
there's not a lot of you.
And there's not. So if you listen to this and you're a bad person, there's plenty enough. And we're very well trained.
Have you ever shot anyone?
I have.
How many?
Just one person.
One person.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, it involved other officers, so I'm also discharged a firearm. But it was a siege. A male came out and he pointed a gun at us, directly at me. And to save my life and to protect my colleagues behind me. I fired a number of rounds from my SIG, and obviously, and this is what people don't get. I've acted to save my life and my friends, right? And completely justified in law. No problem at all with what I did. Within, I think it was 6 or 8 seconds of taking that shot, we'd gone forward, kicked the gun out of his hand, and we're kneeling down, cutting his clothes off and saving his life. And so all these people who are digging out firearms or don't understand firearms, do you know how many lives we must save?
Yeah.
And so he's got multiple gunshot wounds. He is in a terrible state. And we're there, only seconds before thinking he's trying to kill us, and we're saving his life, or trying to. And not without hesitation. You know, you see in America, shots in the police don't, for all sorts of reasons, don't seem to do their dive in and be doing the first aid. And I've no idea what the law is over there. But 19, the first thing you do on 19, before you even pick up a gun, you do a ballistic first aid course, teaching you about gunshot wounds. Because you know, and that might be you might get shot, how to patch yourself up until you get help. But invariably, we're saving people. And a lot of the time, we're saving people from the other side of the tracks. You know, so you turn up, it's a bad man's been shot or stabbed or whatever. We're there. There's no hesitation. You clear the area. Is it safe? Paramedics won't come to will not turn up first till we've cleared it. You can't have them in potential firearms incident. So the call will come out, any Trojan unit, we straight to scene. Always straight to scene.
What happened that day? Why did he come at you with a gun and for you to go bang? How many shots did you let off?
I fired 2.
Fired 2, okay.
Yeah.
And are you told to aim at certain areas, or are you just like...
Our training, well, I'll go back. The call itself was a bloke who was having a crisis. And I think his wife had left in a whole series of events. And I think bailiffs had turned up with local police. And that was the point for him to snap. And he pulled a gun on them and they withdrew. So obviously we deployed so he's an address, so we contain the address, negotiators. And it went on for hours. They're trying to get him out safely. But invariably he made the choice to come out and point a gun at police. And that's his choice. Yeah. But trust me, every single effort was made to get him to come out unharmed. Yeah. And the negotiating skills of SO19 officers are like legendary. Yeah. De-escalate, but also de-escalate with the capability to respond. You know, so yeah, we're talking down, but we're armed and we're ready. And we're ready, okay. And we're not backing off. Yeah. And I mean, for me, the proudest thing about that day for me was that I didn't hesitate. I didn't flinch at my training. I trained for years. And you might do your whole career and never pull the trigger, and that's great. Yeah, it's brilliant. But I train. My mum once said to me, "Goes, you've got an interesting life, Kevin." She goes, "I wonder if you were born under a dark cloud or a black cloud." I was, "Thanks, Mum." And she goes, "Things happen to you," and that day it happened to me. Mm. But to the people I was on that corridor with, I was with absolutely fantastic police officers. My skipper behind me, the guy on my left, the boys and girls behind me, they were just unbelievably professional, and that would mirror every relief. There's no bravado, there's no blah, all this alpha male nonsense. You're talking really professional people who love doing the job. Mm. So shots were fired, and
did he die?
No, he didn't.
No, okay.
But within seconds of doing my duty, which I'm extremely sort of spot on about, my colleagues were in there saving his life, and it's a gory business, you know. And then I remember a really great mate of mine lifting me up my body arm. It's like, as a shooter, like you got things to be going to do now. Yeah. And then they stepped in and they took over the first aid, and then you go into the whole world of the investigation. It's called a PIP, but they changed it, post-incident procedure. And everyone wants a part of you. And that's the thing as well, you know, if you do discharge your firearm, you don't just go home. You don't just like write a little note and go home about it. You are there. I mean, that morning I'd been up at 4 or 5, coming for an early turn. I didn't leave the base the following day till say 6 or 7 in the morning. Mm. So you've been on duty 20 or 30, whatever it was. You're physically drained. Yeah. And everyone wants to know you've got to write statements, you've got to see a doctor, you've got to be, there's a whole lot, they've got to check your kit, the IOPC, whatever they're called now, they changed the term, and the DPS, the people who investigate, police officers who investigate police, they come up on the range with you, and you unload your weapon in front of them. and they check how many rounds you've got, so they can marry that up back them sort of to the shots fired at the scene.
So it's like a huge investigation into you.
Yeah,
pulling the trigger.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And again,
do you agree with that?
Well, there has to be.
There has to be some investigation, but do you feel it was too? Do you feel the investigation is too much?
Well, do you know? I think pips are a strange thing. Like for that one, myself and my co-shooter, we went back and we went to Lehman Street and we were sitting there, and they said, right, you're not allowed any printouts of the incident. You're not allowed anything, no paperwork at all. And we were like, well, our notes are going to be pretty scant then, because I don't know the name of the block. I don't know what time it was called. I don't know the reference number for the call. I don't know other units. So, and they decided that the information that would no way have changed what actually happened or the notes we'd write, but it would have been invaluable to us to give some sort of background to it all, weren't allowed. And somebody somewhere thought that was a great idea. And so every shooting, there'll be somebody in authority making decisions, that they think, for transparency, you've got a camera on. Yeah. You've got so many officers.
What,
there.
Today or back then you had a camera?
We had cameras.
Okay.
And there's multiple witnesses. It's tough. Yeah. It's really tough. And I remember getting home the following day, and my wife was just like, "You're right." I'm like, you're shattered.
Yeah.
And then you're off work for months while they investigate.
They take you off work.
You're not suspended, but you're off ops. So you're sat at home, and you could go into the nick. But all you can do is just walk around, start making tea. So you're sat at home, and my poor, she must have thought, I'm not great sitting around the house. Yeah. I must have drove her bonkers.
Yeah, I bet.
So
more importantly, the thing that you love doing, getting up every single day, roaming the streets, bam, a call, that's taken away from you.
Yeah.
And how long was that taken away from you for?
But I'm going to, I'll be lying, a number of months, maybe 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
And that's a long time.
It's a long time, yeah.
And ours was a stone bonker. It was an absolute stone bonker. But, you hear about police investigating police can take years. I mean, how long was the police officer in Bournemouth? How long did that take to go to?
I think it was 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah, something like that.
You couldn't do that to members of the public.
Yeah.
If you sort of, they're in the, they get nicked and when they get caught, whatever. Yeah. How can you leave a copper hanging on a gross misconduct for 18 months? The stress at home. Can you imagine his poor wife thinking about the mortgage, the kids?
Yeah, the whole lot.
Yeah.
And he's won the whole nation over. It's now come out, and now he's won the whole nation over. He's gone on a podcast, gone on the big TV channels, and the whole nation are behind him.
Yeah.
Does that make the police look silly for making that call? I don't know. They've got a really tough job in the country we're in at the moment, but you've got a really good copper there.
Yeah.
In the times we're in at the moment, who is finding people, nicking them and bringing them back. Yeah. What he was saying is that the police didn't want people being brought back to keep their numbers down.
Well, do you know what? Crime figures, no one likes people higher up the food chain you go. Crime figures are always a problem, aren't they?
Yes.
Because no one wants to admit crimes on the upright. It's rising. Yeah. No one wants to say that burglaries aren't getting solved. It's bad. It's bad for government. But, government have done a great job in just breaking the police, haven't they? You go back to Theresa May's obsession with stop and search. But this guy's running around with zombie knives and every kind of weapon you can. Stop and search is a fantastic tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, used properly. And every copper knows that. Especially now you've got cameras. You aren't just not walking up to X and going, come here, son.
Yeah.
You've got your grounds. You tell them they're detained. You go through the whole process. And it's done properly. But Theresa May was obsessed with stop and search. And it seems this break police culture. I remember austerity came in 2008. The banks, wrecked everything, didn't they? First thing the Met seemed to do was shut every canteen in the Met. Yeah. Which probably seems trivial to people, but suddenly now you've got
Bond.
Exactly. Yeah. Canteen culture.
Absolutely.
I would break canteen. It was almost like, well, hold on. Every time something bad happens or something good, we'd all be in the canteen, and for half an hour we'd debrief it. Yeah. We'd all sort of de-stress. Well done, or maybe not well done. Yeah. But that canteen culture was fantastic for camaraderie. Absolutely.
Have they taken that away of them?
But around the Met, you can't. They took away the canteens. So the knock-on effect of that is you're now eating in public. Well, and then there's always some
someone mouthing off at you saying, you should be at work.
Yeah, why aren't you nicking burglars? Hold on, mate.
Yeah.
I don't come in your workspace when you flip. And it's incredible the amount of people who think that. And then coppers are now having their dinner in cars parked up by the side of the road. Yeah. Well, so public perception is, why aren't they doing whatever? This is their meal break. This might be the meal break they put off for 5 hours because they've gone from call to call to call. Yeah. There's no sort of dodging it. If it's an India, which is like an immediate call, like a danger, something bad's happening, you're going, right? You're going to a dangerous call, right? And you can't just say, "Oh, I'm having hot refs," let someone else go, because the box is empty.
Yeah.
So officers are not eating. They're getting, they're off late, and that's the deal. Suited me. I had no problem with that. But they've got to have some support.
What would you like? I'm listening to you now as a serious, well-respected copper who is in at the right time. If you could wave a magic wand, what you're seeing going on in the UK at the moment with the knife crime, the zombie knives, people getting robbed left, right and centre of their mobile phones in the daylight, watches going, people hammers on the head, watches been. What would you do right now?
I think I'd probably go back a step. I think for a start, I wouldn't have got rid of 10,000 policemen, or whatever that figure was when the government sort of package, we started losing police. The number one thing for police is morale. Police officers, most police officers don't join for the money. It's like they have their, whatever their reasons, right? So make them feel valued.
Yeah.
Like, support them, right? Really and the first people you want to support are the borough officers, not the specialist roles. The officers on response who go early, late and nights and can turn up at anything, often single crewed.
Yeah.
Support them. Make them feel special. Maybe even have a bonus payment. If you stay on response, make response somewhere people want to stay.
Yeah.
Don't dumb it down. When I joined, we had Hendon.
Yeah.
You went in 20 weeks of absolute
training.
Yeah, intent. Yeah. If you weren't training physically, you were in the classroom and you were studying. You left there like a little robot. You had it all ready to go. Yeah. Fit as anything. I was like just over 10 stone when I left. Yeah. Right. And now, Hendon's, it's not residential anymore. We've got this, you could be going, when you go to Hendon now, it's just all white, plastic, shiny. It could go into Apple. Yeah. Right? It was an institution, Hendon. It was world famous. Yeah. Right? You went there, the gates were shut, 20 weeks of living it. Discipline. You were buying into a disciplined service. There was no me. It was about the collective. It was like you were becoming a cop.
Do you think that's gone out of the police force?
I think that people have tried to alter it. I think they've tried to change the culture of it. I think that the generations before me, that we all went through the same system. And now we're betraying the younger officers are being betrayed. People don't want to stay in response because it's just grief and complaints. Lots of officers leave or go and get desk jobs or go and get on whatever.
Do you know what I find amazing here, Kev? Right? Obviously, we've got our businesses, our other businesses here. We had 2 students join us straight out of uni, both got degrees. One was a fantastic sales girl for us, 5'3". She left after a couple of years and went and joined the police force. Other one was a graphic designer, 21 years old, went and joined the police force. And they're both wonderful people. But I think, imagine me knowing them well enough that they're now going to go and try to nick people on the streets with people carrying knives and then running around, and I just can't get my head around it.
Well, they might be fantastic coppers.
Great negotiators, they might be great coppers, and I have full respect to everything they're doing, but it just makes me go, I remember my granddad always saying you had to be a certain size or a certain weight or a certain height or something to be a copper back in the day.
Well, do you know what? I suppose ultimately you can be a cracking cop, whatever size, whatever. But let's not dumb it down. Let's set really high standards. Let's make it special. Let's just join in the police. When I joined the police, I remember going the first day at Hendon, we were in this huge auditorium, and this superintendent got up and he said, every one of you here, there's 2,000 or 3,000 people, whatever it was, you took their place. That's how special it is. And we expect the absolute best of you, the very best. And you felt you were joining an organisation that was special, that was elite, that was going to go out there and make a difference, right? And it just seeped into you, right? And now I just think like the recruits joining now, they have to do this like degree course. Yeah. And they're writing essays, pointless essays, and go, well, that's corporate nonsense. Yeah. If you really, why do they do that? They've got enough to learn just being a copper. And obviously there's follow-up training. And our follow-up training, we'd go to a training centre, and we'd have, sergeants and whatever, and we'd do physical exercise as well, make sure we kept our fitness going, and more exams. All of it making you feel that you were a bit developed. And now, I just feel like, they join, they're weighed down with nonsense, just nonsense. Yeah. Like there's a package going around at the moment that may have got some sort of leadership course. I'm like, do you really think 3 days in an office, with a few, that you're forced to go to is going to make you a better sergeant or a better leader? Leadership, really? You need people the cream will rise, right? Some people don't want to be leaders, but every relief will have, it might be a PC, it might be Skip, whatever, will have people who do want to grab hold of things, who do want to lead. And you need to inspire those people. For me, it's enthusiasm. Every time you go somewhere, you want to see people with smiles on their face. Yeah. And you don't see coppers smile. It's like grief. Just what's the next grief?
There was a thing the other day, I can't remember what it was, Ollie. It was in the press, like 79% of coppers aren't happy being a copper on a survey. Stressed. Incredible or stressed, or there's problems, or they're not enjoying it. But a lot of them are staying on for their pension.
Yeah.
Just been hold on, I've got another few more years, I've got my pension, another few more years. But I was chatting to Lorne about it, and he said there's a lot of coppers who don't want to go and nick someone. Because they're thinking, well, I'm on 35 grand, 36 grand. I could lose my life here. I've got a family at home.
Yeah.
I've got kids at home. Do I really need to be dealing with that?
Well,
and I understand why coppers might not want to go to an incident.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So how do we change that mindset? How do we change the mindset of that? Because I've seen over the last 10 years, the knife crime rate in the UK is off the charts. You know, we used to look at America and go, they're all bonkers. They've all got guns. We never really had anything. We want guns. There wasn't mass knife. Now they're looking in. You see people being interviewed on podcasts going, hey, you guys in England, you're all crazy. You got these big zombie knives. You smashing them. It's like, wow, time to change very, very quickly. Surely there must be a law. Someone go, if you are caught with a zombie knife or a knife on you, 5 years, bang, prison. Can you not just do that to make it a deterrent to stop everything?
Well, for that, you're going, that's a society thing, isn't it? I mean, people blame the police, but ultimately the police are affected by governments. And successive governments have just hammered the police, just hammered it. And if you rip the guts out of it, and the morale, and the joy, and the fun, and the laughter, and like we're in this together, and you dumb it down, then guess what happens? You've taken an organisation that really was, and the Met looked on Met CID officers, training school.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, when I was at training school, the Japanese had police over, the Italians visited, because it was like a finishing school for policing, you know. But now it's just cheap. What's the cheapest? I mean, the pay's, knocking the pay. No support.
Yeah.
And you can see, and are they recruiting the right people? Like ex-military are just make good coppers. Not all, but they are. Yeah. They get the discipline. They used to work in the, not all police soldiers make great coppers. But, why aren't we reaching out to the military? Yeah. Why aren't we,
What would you do then? What would you do today to reduce knife crime? What law would you bring in to go, right, if you are caught with that, sorry, mate, you're banged up? Because that, if your mates would go, Tommy's been caught with he just got 5 years. Everyone else can go, sod that, I'm throwing mine away.
Well, I suppose because sentencing for possession of a loaded firearm is so, a lot of people don't carry guns because, let's be honest, they don't want to go away for 10, 50, whatever.
So what is it? If you're caught with a gun on the street, what's the minimum, 10 years?
I don't know right, I'm out of touch.
Okay, yeah.
But you're talking a serious custodial sentence, right? But you imagine, so a lot of people aren't carrying loaded firearms.
Yeah.
Though, of course, there still will be a lot of people who do. But the people with knives, imagine if you just a government came out and just said, right, as of 1st of January or whatever, if you are stopped in the street with somebody, whatever, right, you are going to get 2 years in prison.
5.
Whatever, yeah.
Two's not as much of a deterrent.
Well, such as they're letting people out.
Yeah, they're letting people out after this. Bang, 5, wallop. Yeah. Stop this crime rate. Get the crime rate for that to that. It'll happen it'll happen in days, weeks, months.
But people have to know that if they get caught, I mean, I'll never forget, and this is a straight up, and this has gone back a few years, but it probably gave an indication. There was a robbery in Ladbroke Grove, and I got behind the guy, and he hit someone with an axe to get their Rolex. French guy, and we chased this lad down the road. He turned around with a proper ding-dong with his little axe. And turned out he was only 15. Anyway, we went to juvenile court, and I'm giving my evidence, and the people on the bench were like, can we stop you there? You've called him the suspect twice, and you've done this. And he goes, his name's X. Yeah. But you call him by his first name. I'm like, he's a juvenile. You're showing a bit of respect. I'm like, hold on. He sits someone with an axe who came at me with that. So anyway, we went through it all. Anyway, he gets found guilty. And then they said, and this is straight up because I couldn't believe it. And the victim is in court. He goes, stand up. And the lad stands up and he's like 14, 15. He goes, how much pocket money do you get a week? I'm like, pocket money. They're so out of touch. Yeah. He goes, well, we're going to have to talk to you. He didn't even get a custodial.
Did he not?
Not even a custodial. So this is what, I suppose I was in Trojan 18, so we're talking a good few years now.
Yeah.
But society was already going away. If you've got a weapon and you've used it and you're not getting banged up, come on.
It's letting the other people know, get away with it. It's fine.
Exactly. So the other gang members are thinking, hold on.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I remember the French guy come out of court. He was absolutely devastated. He goes, I've come back all the way, to court to see British justice. Yeah. And he goes, I just can't believe what I've witnessed. Yeah. And I think, society deserves better, but not from coppers. Coppers are out there. I mean, I won't...
Fair play to all coppers out there, by the way, because you're doing a good job at a tough time.
Exactly.
Respects. But,
but that's where government and judges, you hear about judges making decisions that are just ridiculous. Yeah. But we'll sack a copper for swearing, right? But how about the judiciary and government and whatever? So sit down and say, if we're serious, I mean, you really are serious about stopping it, then you say, let's give him 5 years.
Done.
And if you
use it... That's common sense.
Yeah, but,
just do it today. Surely you just go, bang, 5 years.
Yeah.
Surely. Yeah. Why is no one even thinking about it?
Yeah. Well, because there's no will, is there? There's not really a will, is there?
I've got a friend of mine, Lou. She was walking down Kensington High Street with her dog. Geezer comes running towards her. Guy comes on the side, pinned her down. Car comes up the side. They put a face on the thing, put a knee on the thing, whip her watch off, bam, off. 3 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon in Kensington. Broad daylight.
Incredible.
If they're prepared to do stuff in broad day in those areas like that, you're prepared to do anything.
Absolutely.
And what happens? They're off. Different number plate. Bang. They're gone. Yeah. What are we going to do? They'll be like, sorry. There's an insurance claim for you.
Well, I suppose it's the risk reward. What are your chances of getting caught? Right. So, and then if you do get caught, what's really going to happen to you?
Yeah.
So is it worth it? Yeah, probably worth having a go. And remember that's the one. How many have they done that day, or that week, that month?
Loads.
Right. I mean, who got
spot?
Yeah, exactly. The public deserve better, but I say this: the boys and girls doing it are doing their best.
Absolutely.
Right.
Hats off to them.
Yeah, exactly. And they are putting their neck on the line.
Yeah.
And they really are out there battling. But then it's no good. It's no good getting someone to court and then they're not getting banged up.
Yeah.
And the public want that. And then you'll say, well, we haven't got enough prisons. Well, we pay enough taxes.
Well, load of criminals out of the prisons. Well, let's freed up space. Yeah. Get the knife people in there. Bang, done.
Exactly. People go, let's build prisons. Let's start
But
thinking...
there's no money to build prisons. That's the problem. It comes back down to money. It's this full circle of...
Yeah, but why isn't there? Because we're wastage.
Yeah.
But do you know what I wish sometimes we had governments that thought longer than the next election? We can...
4 years is too short. I just want someone with some common sense.
Yeah.
Surely there's someone out there can common sense who can be a leader we all look up to, who's optimistic and get guys, follow me, and we're all like, I'll follow you.
Yeah, I'm sick of hearing austerity. We've got another austerity coming. Why? We pay enough taxes.
When did you leave?
I quit. I retired in 2021.
And how old were you in 2021?
57.
And what was that feeling like, knowing that you're going to leave something you absolutely love?
Oh, well, that's why I went abroad.
Yeah.
Because I knew, and my wife knew that, the idea, if we were walking around wherever and I saw ARVs going past, I'd probably broken it. I've been waving at them like, come back. I absolutely loved it. My last day, I was in tears.
I bet. I can see your passion, but yeah, mate.
But you know what? And I liken it to, you see a lot of sportsmen, and no, we're not sportsmen. Yeah. They're athletes, whatever. Yeah. But you imagine, say you play rugby and you've been in some,
and you get
from 14, and you've been all through the cadet, and then and you've had your whole career,
and
right?
you retire,
and you see when they get mental health issues, they start drinking, because they're removed from that circle of trust. Suddenly they're not
purpose, passion.
Because even mates ring me now who are still in the job, and we have a right laugh and we gossip and you do. But ultimately, I haven't got a warrant card in my pocket anymore. I'm not doing it, and they are. And it always makes me feel a little bit, I'm no longer in the circle. I'm outside it because they're still doing it. And I'm really proud to know them, really respect them. And my wife's like, no, but you did your bit. But I wish I could do it again. I would do it again.
If you got called up now to lead a team and train a team, would you go, I fancy this again?
Well, do you know, it's funny to say that. The Met put out an application a while back for a leadership, could teach leaders. And Kerry, my wife, said, you'd be good at that. And so I put in. I didn't even get through the paper sift.
Right.
All right. And I know I can walk into a room. and I can get people on side. And I can say, look, come on, yeah, everything's shit.
Yeah.
Governments don't care.
Yeah.
Society's blowing up, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We can still turn up. In fact, the world's blowing up. Brilliant. We're going to be busy.
Yeah.
Let's fix it. Let's fix what we can fix. Let's be energetic, motivated, do a great job. So even if everyone else is screwing up, we're doing our job. And there's a great clip from Southlands. It's a great cop series, and this cop in it and he just goes, "Do your job, I do mine." And that's what I thought about 19 and borough officers. We're doing our job. We're doing it. So everyone else step up.
Tell me what you wear on a day. You know, when I see you lot on the around the streets or straight away, there's instant respect. There's instant respect. I find that when we see you with your caps on and your there's an instant respect there. But doesn't seem to be that instant respect for your normal copper walking the street. Do you think there would be, if you changed the uniform a little bit, that would make? Because when you go to Spain and you see those old Bill walking around and they got the army boots on and they've got a cap on the side, you think, Jesus, I won't mess with them. Do you think that could help?
Well, I think that perception, so the optics of it, you think that we're not paramilitary, are we? We're not Spain, we're not Italy. The caravan area, they dress like supermodels.
Yeah.
Hugo Boss.
Yeah.
But the Met, when I first joined 19, we were running around in white shirts, epaulettes, and we were just bobbies. We were just dressed like your London bobby that tourists would see with firearms. Yeah. And then the kit's evolved. Now we're in all this stuff. And it's all black and tactical, as it should be. And we're specialist. But, make people really feel good about themselves. And you're right. You walk into you're going to get some food in Peckham, Brixton, Lewisham, Hackney, and you walk into wherever, and you're in your kit, bod, boots, Glock, taser, and they're looking at you thinking, real deal.
Yeah, real deal.
Real deal.
Yeah.
You're not getting in 19 unless you are.
He's well trained.
Yeah.
Don't muck about with him. Have some respect.
Yeah. And you see, there's no games, no banter.
Yeah.
Hello, blah, 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 polite interaction, and we sort of go our separate ways. Police officers, but maybe some police officers let themselves down, like I saw a clip recently of police officers having nail varnish in some, and then male police officers wearing high heels to understand of something I'm like, you are delusional if you think the public are going to respect us. And our coppers before are rolling in their graves what are you doing? Yeah. Police officers on TikTok filming themselves
dancing and stuff.
What are you doing? Engagement teams, engagement's great, but how about get rid of engagement teams and go back to home beats? A friend of mine, Neil, who was a home beat at Notting Hill forever, and that basically meant that every day he didn't respond to calls and stuff. He went out into his area. He knew everybody. If he's shopkeeper, he knew everybody. He just knew, and they would say, "Look, thing is going on. That's happening. This." Home beats, proper coppers who go out and the community see, and they're reassuring, but they can come back with intel going, "We need to look at that address."
This all comes down to money.
Yeah, but are we wasting money on nonsense?
Well, we're wasting money everywhere. We go and chat about the whole subject. We're wasting money everywhere, giving money. Yeah. Imagine if we had a great pot of money and people in your local town are seeing bobbies walking around.
Yeah.
We don't see it anymore.
Yeah, but when I joined, I wish I'd had an Apple Watch or something then, because I came 2 years. I wasn't allowed in the police car. You're a probationer. Don't even look at a car. Yeah. You're walking.
Walking everywhere.
So I was at 10,000 steps. Forget it. I was like 20.
Yeah, easy.
And they used to have, I'm sure in the control room, because the Notting Hill had its own little control room. All stations did. And they go, "Kev, can you take a burglary?" And they'd send me to the top of the grounds, right? And they go, it was like ping pong. They're like, "Kev, can you now go to this sector?" And yeah. And then they'd send me over it. And I was just going left, right, centre. And
you enjoyed that, didn't you?
I was fit. I got to know people, and also you learn your trade, because when you're on your own on foot, you'll meet lovely people, and occasionally meet some really bad people, and you've got to deal with it. And again, that that ability to find you, sort of stand on your feet, face threats, and the public. And I met so many cool people doing it, and it was great for me. And then come the day the races actually let me in a police car. I couldn't believe it, but I'd earned the right, and the public saw me every day just trolling around,
Kev, tell me the name of your book.
Right. Well, it's nice that you mention it. It's called Watch and React, which is a...
the reviews are amazing, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
And I must admit, to everyone who has written a review, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, really, from the heart. I can't believe it. The book, the title Watch and React is a firearms thing. When you're on the range, the instructor, you're loaded, you're ready to go. The targets are faced away, so they're feathered. And the final thing you'll hear is the instructor will shout, "Watch and react, watch and react." Target will turn, you draw, and you engage the target. And for me, after 18 years of living that, but it also meant more. It's like police officers, that's what we do. We just react. We turn up and we react. Life is like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, just you watch and you react. You respond. You make something positive. And so I wrote the story because no one's ever written a book about what it was actually like to drive around in a car with two other people who are armed and just see what happens. Yeah. Some good, some bad. And the impact on you, because sometimes it does get you and some of the things you see. But so, and the book, and also, you know what, and I apologies to all of you, but it was like a bit of a homage to my mates because no one's ever mentioned their names. And all through the book, I sort of used nicknames that they had and what I called them. And they know they are because I was just surrounded by unbelievable coppers.
That is just such a nice thing to hear. I can't tell you how nice that is to hear, to be surrounded by unbelievable coppers.
Yeah.
What a nice.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we're saints.
No, I know that.
We don't go to church.
No, of course. You've all got your quirky sides up.
Yeah.
It's knowing you have got a solid team around you the whole time.
Yeah. And then people would join. And I remember the first time we got a female officer on my team, and we got a girl joining, and she went on to do great things, and she knows who she is. Fantastic copper, and you know it's constantly evolving, and more girls were coming in, and you're thinking the team, you know, new people turn up. Will they fit in? But they do, and they buy into the ethos. If you have a culture. A good culture, they buy into it. Yeah. And suddenly they're becoming part of the E-relief culture or the D-relief or the C-relief. And you're surrounded by these people who are occasionally, you know, shouting and screaming and, you know, banging their head on a wall. But ultimately, when you're surrounded by professionals who are just full of enthusiasm and want to be good, really, really want to do the job well, you know, like, it doesn't matter about the rest of the world. Yeah. Like, I don't care. You know, I can't control the government. I can't control senior officers. They've got their own agenda, probably getting themselves on a nice committee when they retire and writing a book about how stressful it was, right? What about the boys and girls who are getting X amount of money to do unbelievably dangerous stuff, very little backup? Yeah. And what about them? And for me, the book was about that.
Good for you.
You know, and also, like, I wanted my kids to know you know, just a few of the things I did.
Absolutely. Kev, I've absolutely loved this, mate.
Well, I hope you have. Mate, I haven't been boring.
No, mate, certainly not. Mate, you speak really well. What a professional. Like, when I sit here now, I go, what a professional, what a team player, what a leader. Like, you've got every single credential, you know, and you come with humour as well. Like, you're ticking every single box here. And I just think, what a gentleman you are. And I really appreciate you coming down here and flying over and coming to do this podcast. You're a superstar, mate.
Well, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Don't make me cry. No. I cry too easy. Thank you so much for inviting me. I've absolutely loved it. Yeah. You did calm my nerves.
Good.
Thank you for mentioning the book. Yeah. The thing is, I didn't come here for that.
I know.
Because if you are watching this and you're thinking of joining the police, prep yourself mentally and physically, and don't forget bleep tests and that. Get fit, get tough, and then accept it's going to be hard because it is a great job.
And this is for your boy.
Yeah. And Max, I'm here. I'm doing it for real, and I didn't embarrass myself. I don't think so. To all the people I love who are worried about me doing this, thank you for your support. You know you are.
You're a good man, Kev.
Thank you so much.
All the best, mate. You're a gentleman. Good man.
Right, bye, everyone.
Woo! That was really good.
Is that okay, lads?
Yeah, mate.
Really good.
Honestly,
that's inspiring.
That's really good.
Well, listen,
I've done 300. I've got little goosebumps.
Oh, well, gents, thank you so much for having me.
Kev.
It's really
I promise you, mate. Thanks for watching, guys. If you'd like to see someone on the show, leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, do us a favour, show us a bit of love, press the subscribe button, and it allows us to grow the show even bigger and bigger each week. Nice one.